there was another Unearthed Arcana update where we didn't get a chance to talk. Very specifically, where you've added a dice to psionic like subclasses, which is very interesting because things can fluctuate quite dramatically depending on how you're doing, round to round, how you're using your spell effects. Let's talk about that. It's a new mechanic. It's very interesting.
Yeah, the journey of psionic themed options in Unearthed Arcana has been a fascinating one for us on the D&D team. A number of years ago, we released a psionic themed class, the Mystic. We've then recently released some psionic themed subclasses. Then we revisited some of those subclasses, and this journey has been all about us trying to suss out from the community, what do they want to see from this content? Psionic material has appeared in D&D in one form or another, going all the way back to first edition. One of the characteristics of psionics in D&D is it has never been expressed in exactly the same way from one edition to the next. Meaning the community has very different opinions about what this material should feel like, how it should play, how it should manifest. Sometimes the game has had a psionic themed class, and sometimes it hasn't. Sometimes it's had feat-like options, and sometimes it hasn't. It has come and gone. But at Foundations, psionic-themed things have always been in the game, but most often people experience them simply as a way of aesthetically describing certain game effects. For instance, Mind Flayers have always been able to psionically blast your mind, and have done so without any special psionic system. That's true going all the way back to the first edition Monster Manual. And that's true of the 5th edition Monster Manual. We have a number of things in the game that take spell effects and also just exceptional features and do them, but there's sort of a psychic theme to them. And so we have been trying to suss out, do people like that approach? Do they instead want a special mechanic that expresses psionic ability, or do they want something else entirely? And so our most recent Unearthed Arcana was all about experimenting with a psionic-specific mechanic. And in this case, that mechanic was the psionic talent die, which could fluctuate based on your rolls, meant to represent your fluctuating well of psionic energy that you would have inside you. We had a lot of fun not only designing this mechanic, but also fiddling around with it in internal playtests. I know Dan Dillon has been playing with it in an actual D&D game for a while, and has really been digging it. We recently got the playtest feedback back on that most recent iteration, and our initial finding is, even though there is a dedicated and very vocal group that would love to see a unique mechanic for psionic themed abilities, the message was very clear this past week when we got the playtest feedback back, and that is that the majority of people are not interested in psionics having its own mechanic. Because when we look at the playtest feedback, the material that we've released that is psionically themed but works like all of our other subclasses. Think of the Aberrant Mind, the original version of the Soul Knife, the original version of the Psychic Warrior. The feedback we see, not only in satisfaction scores, but also what people write in. And then when we look at the feedback of what people wrote in on this most recent UA, the message that we are seeing coming into focus is, we dig kind of a neat, sometimes spooky psychic theme, but we just want it to work like how things work generally in 5th edition. That there were a lot of people bouncing, not just on the psionic talent die, but just on there being a different mechanic at all. that people are just like, can I just sit down and play this cool thing, please? And that to be honest is not surprising, because we have seen this kind of feedback going all the way back to the D&D Next playtest. That what we have found is that even though, like, I often love mechanics that I have something to track and all of that. A lot of people, that's just not their jam. And what they want to get to the table. They want to join their friends in telling a cool D&D story. They want to be able to use their characters' abilities and do so in a pretty straightforward manner. Anytime we've gone very far down the road of this is a whole new mechanic with all sorts of buttons and knobs and whatnot, we see a lot of people in the audience start backing away, okay, that's interesting, but no thank you. And so we don't, our response is not to banish such things for the game, but is to then figure out how best can we include these sorts of mechanics so that the people who like them can use them without then dissatisfying, though, a majority of D&D players. But that balancing act is part of our job all the time. We're always trying to see how can we give this passionate minority of players what they want, while also pleasing the majority of the player base. One of the advantages of having such diverse classes in our game is we can sort of sprinkle things throughout. We can have an option here, an option there that appeals to different tastes. And here, though, again, really the message we're hearing is we like the Psychic Warrior / Cyanite, we like the Soul Knife, we liked the Aberrant Mind, but we just wanted to do its cool stuff without too much fuss.
So they're down for that gooey Aberrant Mind sorcerer.
So that is one of the tightropes we are still working to figure out, because as much as people loved the original Aberrant Mind and its satisfaction scores were extremely high, people loved the Aberrant Mind. But in the written feedback, people kept saying, I love this, but maybe not so much mucus. And then so we did the Psionic Soul, where you had the option to have no mucus at all. And then the feedback we get is, give us back the mucus. So we often, we have to really do some, as I said, some tightrope walking to figure out, okay, where is exactly the target we need to hit?
This is our lives.
So that we...
That's real feedback you got.
Yes.
About the level of mucus you included as a creative.
Oh, and that is actually not even close to the strangest feedback I have read in my life working on D&D. I have read far stranger things.
Jerry Crawford, thank you so much. We will have to revisit what the strangest things you've had to read are later.